Hello and welcome to the space between ideas. I'm Blank Gates, and today we are going to look at the thing. So, imagine you are building a little software application, and the question is, what is it that you really need in order to build some software? I've been watching these videos on YouTube where all these creators are basically just putting in like one prompt into one of these software AI software programming tools, and then boom, it just gives them something, and then they copy and paste whatever the error is, or they take a screenshot of the user interface, and then they make some comments about how to change this or change that or change this or change that. And I don't know. I don't know if these are actual things that people are then turning into businesses. Like I see one guy, he's always writing like, "Hey, to use cursor to make a $1 million business," and it's like, okay. It's like just because you have a piece of software, it doesn't actually mean that you have a $1 million business. Also, just because you have a business idea doesn't make it a $1 million business. Like there's this whole concept about product market fit, which means that the product that you create has to actually be like in fulfill a need in the market. Now, I was talking to this one lady. She was telling me like, you need word of mouth marketing. Your whole focus should be word of mouth marketing. And I was just like, uh, hmm. See, the problem with word of mouth marketing is that you need something that will wow everyone to the point where like just like you will never believe this. Like remember like Tinder, for example. So there's two things about Tinder. Number one, it's like it's attached to a core need of society, like to date. And so therefore this like it's everybody's trying to figure out where can I get dating opportunities. It's like it's a core function of humanity. So and then they just made it like so simple. They created a user interface based on this like hook structure. And you know what I'm saying, the hook structure. I don't know, maybe we should take a look at something. There's like so much I want to say, but I only got 20 minutes. So let's jump into the hook first. All right, so I wanted to talk about Tinder. Tinder. All right, so Tinder's like this, right? So what happens is your buddy is the external trigger, and he says, "Hey, did you hear about Tinder?" Okay, that's word of mouth marketing, and you're like, "No, what do I do?" And so you just sign up. Okay, so that's what gets you into the product, and then you got to create a profile, and then you swipe right and swipe left, and then what's the variable reward? You get matches. And then what happens if I get only 5 matches with 100 right swipes? So I got this 5% success rate. So what's the investment? Well, I can improve my profile. I can improve my pictures. I can improve my whatever, my description. And then I get another external trigger. Bing, you have a message. Okay, so what's the action? I got to return the message. What's the variable reward? At some point, you want to be able to go on dates. So that means that if you're going on dates, then no. If you're not getting, let's say that I'm up to 1,000 people, so that means I had like 50 matches, but then I improved my profile, so now I got 100 matches. So I'm sending messages to 100 girls, and then imagine only 1% of those girls eventually agree to go on a date. So I got like one date. So but I want more than one date. So it means I have to improve my ability to write messages, to improve my communication skills. Eventually, I go on these dates. Okay, so that's definitely an internal trigger because you're not getting a message from Tinder that says go on a date. So anyways, but eventually you're going back to Tinder because you want to see you got matches, you got messages, and then eventually go on a date. So then what's the variable reward of a date? And of course, that's a trick question. Anyways, but in the reality of the concept behind Tinder is likely that the variable reward is another appointment, another date. And if you're successful, then you have dates for the rest of your life. All right, so you can see that this is how you help to customers develop a habit. So because it's giving you the variable, it's giving you the reward that you want. You're putting in some investment, and then you're going back into the system. But more importantly, Tinder is giving you actual relationships with people, which is a very very big problem in people's lives. So the main issue about software is that you have to approach some issue, like a main issue in people's lives, something that people really, really, really need help with. So that's why I'm concerned about like when these people are showing off their AI coding abilities and saying, "Oh, look, here's a game," and it's like, is that a core? I got this other like when we talk about a product. So when you talk about price, the price that you have only tells me what kind of customers you serve. So once you have that price, then I'm going to look at the value proposition. What are the core features of the product that you're providing, and also what are the other people who are providing that same offer, and then what is their price? So then I'm looking at your product, comparing it to other products in the same market, providing the same thing and at the same price. That next thing you do is the value propositions packaging. So here you go. That's the hook. So that's where you have to improve the look and feel of your product, and also the look and feel of your website. That's the packaging, or your store. And you make small tweaks, you do design principles, you do psychology. Now, if you're still not getting word of mouth marketing, then you have to be like the majority of people, and you have to create a sales funnel. All right. So it's most likely that you're not going to create a product which is so awesome that you have no competitors and that everybody's going to need it. Most of those products have already been created. Now, there's always an opportunity for new stuff like ChatGPT. Boom. Okay. But that's like once, let's say we got let's say we got a few of those products each year. But the reality is that ChatGPT didn't just come from nowhere. It came from products and services and principles that were already in the market, and people iterated on them and then made something new. So you create your sales funnel. This is the invitation to come look at the packaging, get to know us, hear what people are saying. You got to create systems for creating creatives. You got to have systems for measuring performance. You have to have systems for selecting campaigns. And then eventually, you're going to have cross-functional discussions, because your sales funnel and your website are going to be connected at the lead magnet level, the email marketing level, and then eventually you're going to have to start dealing with customer service. It's going to be on your it's going to be in your creatives, it's going to be in your website, and of course you have to have a team of people who are going to start working on that. So then that brings us down to the bottom level. So we're talking about the core features. You're going to continue to develop your core features. You got your design, brand, feel, experience. You got to talk about how you can better serve your current customers, how you can service new customer segments. You're going to be talking about version control, feature control, and eventually you're going to split into different products or different pages. So this is a really, really, really basic overview. So, okay, so a $1 million idea, that is just the value proposition. That's not even the price. So all these people that are like, hey, I got a value proposition for you. It's like, okay, great. And I also need all this other stuff before I have a $1 million business. So if we just focus on the value proposition, then we're talking about the core features, just the core features. Now, in my case, what I had to do was like 8 years of research, talking to over 400 people, over 4,000 hours in order to have a basic. And I was also basing all of my work on the work of one of the world's foremost scientists. So yeah, I got that. So I already had a foundation of a belief system of how I could approach this project with the work of Thomas Buchholz in his book Create Crucial Insight. And then I taught his book to year after year after year after year, hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands and thousands of hours. And then I basically created these user interfaces and all these different loops. After you do that, then I had to create this database. All right. So I have the user interface. I actually have the actual images of the user interface. I have the flow of the app. I have the database. Then using that, I created a product requirement document. So it's like the complete system of like how those two things connect to each other, the user experience, the user interface, the database, and how it all connects for an experience for a project management application for mid-level managers. So we've been doing this for a time, right? Now I'm going to share my whole screen because I got this. We want to take a look at what's going on. Entire screen. There we are. All right. So the issue I have right now is actually that. Well, one is that I ran out of credits for today, and the other one is that I had a really, 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 really long wall. I did the other wall like, for 2 weeks. I've been working on the same wall in, in ChatGPT. And then also I decided to create a new wall over here on, here. Okay, so what's going on? Load older messages. So where are we right now? Okay, so you can see here. So with reference to the product requirements document, the Superbase database structure, all of the previously created code, and the images from the UI for this project, here are the suggestions you provided. After you understand your own suggestions, we will share my team's reaction to the suggestions. They have the same information as you, with the exception that they cannot read the code base that you have created. So what I did was in the other chat, in the previous chat, I asked Cursor to create some recommendations they would give ChatGPT in order for when I start using ChatGPT. Okay, so here I have been working with, I've been working, I've been working on a project with you as a project manager and a QA tester, an architect, and a developer. I'm the business analyst. We work together. You are also the scrum master. I've been using different chat wall, but it's slowing down. So I want to start with a new wall and continue this project. I asked the other wall to provide a summary of our work. Here it is. Below is a detailed itemized list of the data and context you provided in your new chat. This will help ensure the new session and all the necessary background for us to continue working together seamlessly as your project manager, architect, and QA tester. So this one is created by ChatGPT. This one is created by Cursor. So you can see in Cursor, it says, based on the UI images and considering the database needs, here's a refined plan that addresses the specific. So I actually asked it to create a plan, and then I uploaded. You see my images down here. Then I uploaded all these images down here, and then I asked it to just revise that plan, to think about that plan again. All right, so based on the UI images, considering the database needs, here's a refined plan to address the specific module requirements. Module integration, database connection. So we got phase one, module integration, database connection, module specific database design and integration. So we're going to be doing the analyze each module's data requirements based on the UI, vision, touch base, objective, scoreboard, brainstorm, choose, normalized database. Okay, we got module data service implementation, create Superbase table definition for each module, implement data services, real-time subscription, validation rules, cross-module data integration, create the relationship between objective and scoreboard data. Interesting. Connect decisions tracking between choose and other modules, create linking between touch-based updates and relevant tasks, test referential integrity across modules, UI component implementation, so create reusable text, input components with validation, implement specialized inputs for the module typed task grids, multi-line text, categorize input groups, comparison matrices, error handling, validation, feedback, then module-specific AI implementations, build screens according to the provided AI wireframe, include navigation headers, create form layout, navigation flow integration. Now then we start to go into phase two, real-time history features, real-time collaboration. I don't want real-time collaboration. Okay. Implement history tracking on module actions, project context integration. Week 4, user experience in edge cases, loading errors, empty states, performance optimization, testing refinement. So then we got the comprehensive testing. All right. Then we got the final refinement and deployment. All right. So then we got the post-launch support and enhancements. So then it actually shows the database structure. It goes through the database structure, critical path items, risk mitigation. Okay, so I analyzed the project completion plan you've shared. It appears that the comprehensive project. So this was the actually the post on Cursor from the last page. It's bringing the page from the other seats in here. So I'm bringing the one from here, the Cursor project, into a new one. There. So first I asked ChatGPT to just like prepare itself based on the information from the last page. Let's just get rid of this. So, and then it just asked me to optimize my prompt. I want you to understand what I have written and get ready to continue working on the task. I'm asking if you need original PDR, database structure, Supabase in order to set up this to speed up. We can continue working. So I put in the Supabase schema. I think I put in the Supabase schema twice. and then I put in the PDR. I put in the product requirements document. And then I think I also attached images to that one. I've reviewed, integrated the full PDR. I'll analyze the. I also gave these rules. Okay, talked about the rules I gave to Cursor. And then, then I uploaded, and then here are the screenshots. So now it has everything. Here's the recommendation from Cursor. All right, so Cursor said revised. So this is the whole plan I just showed you on Cursor. So it has all the data about what's going on. It should know everything at this point. And it says, here's a few clarifying points. So then I copy and paste the clarifying points. There we go. So I copied and pasted the clarifying points. I'll analyze the project completion plan you've shared. This appears to be what is it? Okay, so first it's analyzing. So this one, analysis of the code and documentation. So the above is actually this up here. The prompt up here is from the previous page on Cursor, and then I asked it to look at its own plan. And then here, so here's the feedback from my team. So it gave me some kind of output, and then I copied that output. I gave it over to as you saw, I gave it to ChatGPT. Then I created this output. Then I took that output, I put it over here. I pasted it in back into Cursor. And then here, so it's like, let me review the code base. Based on my comprehensive review, I've identified several important issues that need to be fixed before proceeding to the project. So then I said, okay, good. So let's fix those. Fix these items before we proceed. And then, so basically just fix those items. Here's the changes we made to resolve the issues. So there you go. So supposedly up until this point, both dueling pianos, they both have the database, they have the user interface, they have reference to past work. They've spoken to each other about the plan moving forward. And I'm at the top of the chat in both cases. So, and they both have like a clear path moving forward for the project. I mean, I'm just kind of reviewing both sides and then just feeding it back and forth. So it's kind of like stitching, right? Like when grandma's sitting there and she's like stitching these things together. So she takes two pieces of cloth and then she's just making sure that the stitches are aligning properly. And that's my job here because, I mean, ChatGPT knows way better how to react to the questions from Cursor, and Cursor knows way better how to react to the questions from ChatGPT. I already provided them with the structure of the database and the user interface and the flow of the app. And of course, they don't really understand it perfectly. And they're suggesting things that are actually outside of the scope of the MVP. And that's why I'm here. So every time they kind of jump into some areas that I'm like, no, that's not what I want. Then I jump into the conversation and I say, no, that's not what we want. It's pretty simple. Now the question is like, how much longer is it going to take? Like, well, I'm not going to work on this today because I don't get my ChatGPT o3 model back until 8 o'clock tonight. It's Saturday night, and also I think I have some other things planned for tonight. Tomorrow's Sunday. I'm not going to work on it on Sunday, so I think we've officially reached the end of sprint 1, and it's time to start the next or whatever sprint 2 phase or whatever you want to call this stuff. Anyways, this is what it looks like these days. It's just I got this huge, 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 huge set of code, and I can't read a single line anywhere except for this product requirements document. That's the only thing I understand. And then I just hired these two guys. I hired ChatGPT as my project manager, architect, and I hired Cursor to do the coding. So there you go. That's the game. That's the name of the game, everyone. And let's continue and see how well this works out over time. Thank you for joining me here on Space Between Ideas. I'm Blank Gates. We'll see you next week for the next day.